What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of A Generational Talent, questioning whether or not he wants to be with his current team in the future. As always, I'm your host, Zach Cronin, and today we're talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo, but more specifically, the Milwaukee Bucks as an organization. In my last video, I briefly touched on the quote from Giannis that basically said he's not going to sign a long-term deal with the Bucks unless they show that they're committed to winning another championship, and that got me to thinking. That made me put on my thinking cap and say to myself, how much longer will the Bucks remain near the top of the Eastern Conference? The Bucks have gone into the playoffs in 7 straight seasons, but didn't become an elite team until 2018, which was the year that Giannis won his first MVP. Each season since then, they've remained among the premier teams in the Eastern Conference, and their championship odds reflected that. I think that this season will be much of the same. In all likelihood, the road to the finals in the Eastern Conference will run through Boston or Milwaukee or potentially even Philadelphia if they're able to move on from their soap opera. Their success peaked in 2021 when they captured just the second title in franchise history. Unfortunately, they've had difficulty replicating that success. It's been a challenge for them to return to the conference finals, let alone the NBA finals. As we know, they got upset by the Miami Heat in the first round of the most recent playoffs, and in 2022 lost to Boston in the second round in 7 games. Probably by now you've noticed the title of this video, and I've titled it this way not because I'm a hater, not because I'm bitter about what happened to my Brooklyn Nets in the 2021 Eastern Conference semifinals, nor do I think that Giannis is washed or that the Bucks are stinky. It's because I genuinely feel that this current roster, as it's constructed, the core that Milwaukee has built, I sincerely think that they are coming to the end. I think that things are coming to the end for them. Over the last half a decade, the trio of Giannis, Middleton, and Holiday has become one of the premier trios in the league, at least in recent memory. They all have the ability to impact the game in their own distinct way, and that's been huge for Milwaukee. That unpredictability on offense is why they've become so successful. Of course, you have Giannis, who is this big, hulking, bruising force whose versatility on offense is continuing to expand. You have Chris Middleton, who is the more polished three-level scorer, the guy that you can give the ball to late in the game to create his own shot. Drew Holiday is the playmaker, the facilitator, but also does have the ability to go for 20 to 25 or maybe even upwards of 30 if the game plan calls for it. On top of that, of course, Giannis and Drew are two of the league's elite defenders. Each one of those three guys forces the defense to react differently, and their efficacy has only been amplified by a very solid rotating cast of role players, guys like Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton. The list goes on. Consequently, I don't think that talent is the issue with the Milwaukee Bucks. I think that it's age. Antetokounmpo turns 29 in December, so he will be, of course, omitted from this section of the conversation because he's still in his prime. Holiday, Middleton, and Brook Lopez, however, are soon to be geriatric in athlete years. Holiday just turned 33 in June. Middleton is 32 and hasn't had the cleanest bill of health of late. Brook Lopez is 35 already with an average age of 28.1. The Bucks are the fourth oldest team in the NBA, trailing only the Warriors, the Clippers, and the Sixers. This roster is nearly old enough to be considered a nursing home by NBA standards, and the Bucks' prolonged dominance means they haven't been able to draft any young players who look like they could slide into a more prominent role. That could change, of course, since development units within NBA organizations have become so efficient. Maybe Marjan Beauchamp turns into a similar version of Chris Middleton. It's not impossible, but I'm not betting my future on it. Age obviously is a double-edged sword. The best players are able to offset any drops in their athleticism by simply becoming more skilled and craftier. Fortunately, Middleton and Holiday haven't built their careers on being the biggest, fastest, most explosive guy. So this transition is going to be pretty easy for them, I would expect. There is, of course, also the wealth of experience they've garnered in the regular season and, more importantly, the playoffs. It's for these reasons that you can't just write off a team because they're old. In all honesty, I expect Milwaukee to be title favorites for not just this season, but also for next season and potentially even the season after that. However, that is the year where things could get murky. That is the year that we could effectively see this organization change entirely. For the sake of brevity, I will be talking about the Bucks core. That core is Giannis, Holiday, Middleton, and Lopez. They are all clearly under contract for this upcoming season. In 2024, 2025, all of them are guaranteed except for Holiday. He's got a $39 million player option, which I would be gobsmacked if he passed on, because there is absolutely no way that Drew Holiday gets damn near $40 million from any other team that's not the Milwaukee Bucks. It is also worth noting that both Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton are under contract for these 2 seasons. As I previously mentioned, the 2025-2026 campaign could be the debut of a new look Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis, Middleton, Portis, and Connaughton all have player options for that season. Middleton will be around 34, 35 years old. Both Bobby Portis and Connaughton will be in their early 30s. Additionally, Lopez and Holiday will be free agents that summer. Giannis's player option for that season is about $52 million, and he will only be about 30, I believe. And there's no indication that he will no longer be playing MVP level basketball. I fully expect a 30-year-old Giannis to be among the 3 best players in the NBA at that time. So the money is not what's going to be keeping him in Milwaukee. He will get that money elsewhere. And if I had to reckon, I'm fucking British now. If I had to guess, he would get not only 52 million, but significantly more than that, because that season, Jaylen Brown is going to be earning about 54 million. And these guys are nowhere near the same tier of player, and especially considering how much player salaries have exploded, I would not be shocked if Giannis were getting in the realm of 60 million a year from any prospective team. But long story short, if Giannis sees that this core is dissolved and there really is no reason for him to be in Milwaukee anymore, I think he'll be gone. I think we are now experiencing the young superstars coming of age and really not feeling like they have to stay in these organizations for a long time. And unfortunately, I think a large portion of this is because of what's happening in Portland with Damian Lillard. You have an elite talent, like in all NBA caliber talent, who has remained loyal to this organization and yet has been routinely fucked over by this organization. And they simply have not been able to give him a contending team. And you look at it from Giannis's perspective, yeah, he's already got this one title, but he is someone who could potentially be the next greatest of all time. And he's not going to be in that conversation with only one title, regardless of how dominant it is. So I do genuinely feel that within a year or two's time, we'll have a better understanding of what Giannis wants to do and also what the Bucks have done to try to retain him. But again, if they're not able to swing a trade for another star by then, I think Giannis is as good as gone. This topic is inherently a pessimistic one, but it's one that every elite organization has to reckon with at some point. The Bulls, the Lakers, the Spurs, all of them saw their championship window close, and it's mightily impressive. I will be one of the first people to admit that it is strikingly impressive that Milwaukee has been able to maintain such a wide championship window. We're talking 5, 6, 7, potentially 8 years or so. That's damn near unheard of to be a contender like year in and year out. That is like LeBron level. That is like not Spurs level, but about as close to it as we've seen. Perpetuating success in the NBA is not easy. It requires skill, it requires discipline, and most importantly, it requires an insane amount of luck both on the court and off of it. It's very rare to see the front office ownership, the coaching staff, and the players all agree on something. And even more so when you consider that all of this could evaporate in one summer. You look at the Brooklyn Nets, they're the poster boys for this. They go from having the best team on paper, they go from being within 2 inches of going to the NBA Finals and potentially even winning the NBA Finals. And in one summer, it's gone. Now they're barely going to be contending for the play. And of course, side note here, I am still optimistic about their future, but, comparatively, it is a tremendous fall from grace. All things considered, including the title that Milwaukee has already won, they've navigated this about as well as anybody could have. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this video out. Thank you guys so very much for coming to hang out with me today. Everything that I'm associated with is down in the description box below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on this video. Comment as well. It really helps out with the algorithm. And with that, I'll catch y'all in the next one.